From the Middle is oh so proud to be a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we proudly welcome you to episode number 282 of From the Middle. If you're just joining us for the first time, we're a comedy, culture, entertainment, and interview style podcast, and it's hosted by three middle-class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view that generally fall somewhere in the middle. In this week's episode, we talk about the fact that it seems like the women in our lives have reactions of panic to situations that don't seem to warrant it. We also talk about which new pop flavor we'll be enjoying with our plain tortilla chips. And hey, have you ever tried that move in the car when you're braking suddenly and put your right arm in front of your passenger? Is that something that you do? We also talk about gift exchanges, the pros and cons of that, mowing robots, and the 12-team college football playoff. We hope you enjoy this week's episode. We sure enjoyed recording.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
From the Middle after dark over here.
Hooday! Nice hat, Kendall.
Yeah. Hooday. Hooday indeed.
Are the Bengals winning?
They're winning right now, yeah.
Sweet.
Speaking of winning, did you see the what's back? Did you see?
Yeah, the cranberry Starry.
Yeah,
Got a 2-liter of that in the fridge right now.
Yeah, so the cranberry splash Sierra Mist was quite popular for some time, but Sierra Mist is gone, and we now have Starry in its place, which we've discussed is somewhere between, I think, Sierra Mist and Sprite in a good way. Not in a bad way. I think it's definitely a different recipe. And so they must have just known at some point they were inevitably going to have to bring back the holiday one. And look, there's like little berries and snowmen on there. It's cute.
Yeah.
It's cute.
It is adorable.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the cranberry Canada Dry ginger ale. That's my seasonal soda of choice. Is that one? The Starry stuff I had never seen before. And so there was a request from one of the children grocery shopping with them the other day. And I was like, yeah, okay, why not? Got it.
It feels like the ginger ale is really branching out. Have you seen that like fruit punch ginger ale?
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
Punch.
I don't even like ginger ale.
I have. And it's good. It's good. It's fine. I tend to not like the fruit, the flavored like Sprites and 7-Ups and things like that. I don't know what it is. The lemon lime sodas for my palate don't mix well with other things in a way that I enjoy. But ginger ale does for some reason.
Yeah. Ginger ale's a little too spicy for my Midwest taste buds, you know?
Even like Canada Dry? It's not like Verner's.
I'd have to try it again. I don't remember.
Okay.
I think it's about time we make pop reviews an official segment on this podcast. I was just watching live our friends over at Grab 'em in the Brisket the other night, and they were doing their regular beer review segment.
Yeah.
And no surprise that John gave the beer a higher review than all the other guys. I'm pretty sure that's a standing trope.
Yeah.
John seems to like the beers better. But anyway, it's about time we make pop review an official part. Like whatever new funky seasonal flavor or sub brand one of our favorite brands is trying, I think we need to do that.
Because we do like send photos about in our own little group chat when we see something new or different in the soda world.
There's a couple consistent things in almost 300 episodes, and pop reviews is one of them. The one that I'm bummed that I missed was during the election. Mountain Dew had like a freedom flavor. It was like peach with a hint of lemonade. and the packaging was red, white, and blue with eagles all over it. It was like a
Oh, that's
limited
fun.
run.
Look
I
at
think you
that.
can still buy it overpriced on Amazon, but I missed the freedom flavor of Mountain Dew.
I missed that too. My rule with Mountain Dew, because they don't come out with zero sugar with all of their stuff. And Dylan and I are zero sugar guys. Corey is not. But absolutely, if they have a zero sugar flavor, I'm going to like get a 12 pack of it probably and try it that way. The other flavors, I'll grab a 20-ounce bottle and do it
Yeah.
one time
See if you like them.
just to try it, say that I have, which is why, and I know I've mentioned it before, I love the thrashed apple, and I can make that profitable for them if they just go ahead and stock the Gahanna Kroger with the thrashed apple zero sugar. I promise you, you won't go broke over that decision. So
I was doing the same thing, Kendall, with two 20-ounce flavors of Mountain Dew that I had sitting in my garage fridge waiting for the time that we were going to be in studio together next, which has not happened recently. And the sell by date on those two, it was two tropical flavors of Baja, like one was like a berry something. They were so flat by the time it's been so long that we've been together. Which, side note, we need to make happen soon. But anyway,
had you not tried them at all?
I had.
That is discipline, my friend.
I mean, I still got a sense of the flavor, but I couldn't get like a quarter inch down the bottle. I was like, this is disgusting, and I just dumped them out.
Oh.
But anyway, yes.
I guarantee you, Dylan and I both still would have drunk it.
Can't let
Right
it
now.
waste. Just pour it over ice if it's not bubbly anyways. And it feel pretty much like the same thing.
Kendall, it's looking quite sparkly over there at your house.
That's because there's a tree with lights on it right outside my window.
I can't wait to share our tweener photo on Instagram this week between the episode posts, because we're going to post your 10. Instagram only lets you post 10 photos, and you've got more than 10 trees in your house. So I can't wait to post that. It looks beautiful at your house.
I don't think I have more than 10, do I? How many do I have?
I don't know. There was a lot of photos in that photo.
There was a lot of photos.
I got photos of your basement today too, because
we're going to be adding a tree next year to the basement. We're doing our own little basement project, not the same involvement with updates that you had. Just a transition. There's been multiple iterations of our basement, and when we first moved into the house, we put through like an extra sofa down there and put a TV down there. And then when we had 3 kids, we wanted that to be more of a nursery, kid-friendly play area that we wouldn't have to worry about cleaning up, right? Because it's down there in the basement. And so we had like the little kid toys and wood train tracks and the rocking chair and things like that down there. And then eventually that transitioned into like we had Lego tables and things of that nature. The TV had moved over from that side of the basement over to like where like our gym setup is. And so now the kids have kind of started to outgrow that, but also with the advent of kids coming over to our house on a more regular basis and coming inside. And both Amy and I growing up had that place in our basement where like we could take our friends. And so we wanted to kind of create that, but then also create more of a party friendly Super Bowls on TV. Let's all go down there. There's people back there playing air hockey, people sitting there playing cards, kind of a space. And so we're transitioning it now into that. And our trash guy is going to absolutely hate us tomorrow morning. But it's all good. It's been a lot of work getting all of that done. We put rubber flooring, like the puzzle together mats that you can get on the gym side of the basement, which meant moving stuff around for that and cleaning up the basement, which had gotten away from us, and buying a rug from you, Corey, which was very, very nice. Fits the space perfectly. And next up is going to be a couch. We need to find a couch to go into our family room. because then we're going to bring the family room couch to the basement, and got a 75-inch TV that we're putting up over there.
It looks so nice, and I'm so glad that you took the rug. It's a very nice rug. You got a heck of a deal. I'm very excited about it. And Amy sent me a picture of it in the space, and I said, "Oh my gosh, it ties all the colors together."
It does.
And she goes, "Wow, I didn't even realize that."
Yeah.
Like she took pictures and sent them, and I'm like, "That's not the first thing."
It's like a white and sky blue rug in a room that has sky blue walls and white trim.
And it brings the floor color in, the browns, the warm tones. Anyway,
Yeah.
it looks really, really good.
So I'm excited about our basement. It's fun. We've been hanging down there already, even though the TV's not hooked up or anything yet.
Yeah, she said it was a motivating factor to get some other stuff cleaned up and moved around down there.
So, a funny story. I think this was Saturday when we first had our first sort of like big go at getting the basement cleared out. I was upstairs and I hear my wife yelling, not for me or for it, just frantic screaming and yelling. Here's a question for you. Maybe you can tell me what kind of person you are. In circumstances where something surprising happens, let's say you're asleep and the smoke detectors start going off, which never means that there's a fire. It always means there's a battery issue or something going on, right?
Not a good rule to live by, but yes, you're right.
What's your reaction to that in the middle of the night? What do you do? Are you frantic? Are you trying to get your bearings? Are you yelling and screaming? Are you rolling back over, going back to sleep?
No, it's going to take me a minute to get my bearings. I'm going to look at the clock, see what time it is, see if Sherry's awake, and quietly go handle it.
Okay.
I'm not going to add to the noise. I'm just going to, once I assess, smoke alarm, 2 a.m., 2:30, Sherry's awaking or asleep, kids aren't awake yet, I'm just going to go smack the 9-volt battery out of the smoke alarm and go back to bed. Handle it in the morning.
What about you, Dylan?
Probably very similar. I'm not the panic type. It doesn't mean internally I wouldn't feel a little panic, but externally you wouldn't notice. And I couldn't roll over. I'd have to at least minimum go take the battery out. I'd probably feel the need to take a lap through the house quickly just to like, do I smell smoke anywhere? Flip some lights on, look around, then just walk back to bed and go back to sleep.
Yeah, do the due diligence. I'm basically along with you guys, except I live in a household where something like that means the apocalypse is happening.
Mm-hmm.
When the kids were little, like they would get all weird and frantic, and like the rest of the night was over at that point. Like everybody was going to be in our room, in our bed. They were not going to be able to get back to sleep otherwise. And it's still kind of that way today, with the help of my wonderful, wonderful, smart, beautiful wife, because she is a panicker. She goes to sleep usually well before I do. And then like I'll come into the room to like go to the bathroom or something. And almost every night I walk through the door and I get a almost every night. There has been at least one, it's probably happened more than once, occasion where a smoke detector starts chirping and she hears it. And the kids would have been fine. They would have been at least manageable if it wasn't for my wife flinging the covers up, getting up, running out of the hallway going, it's okay. It's okay. The kids were still asleep and she's screaming at them that things are okay in this weird frantic voice that says everything is not okay. And so that's a reality. That's a little look into the life of our household. I'm upstairs. The rest of the family is in the basement. I don't hear anything other than my wife that frantic voice. Only she's apparently, I find this out after the fact, yelling at everybody to not move. Don't move. And there's this little separate room that Lydia was in, which is a little craft room, a little office sized kind of space in there. Amy shut the door and told Lydia to stay there. What had happened was Isaac had knocked over a box. We had just switched out our fluorescent tube lights with LEDs. And so a box full of fluorescent lights got knocked over and shattered all over the floor, which is fine. You tell everybody, hey, don't come in here until I get this cleaned up. But the kids are, Lydia especially. So I come downstairs, put on my shoes. I walk over to the craft room, open the door. She is crying. She is sitting fetal position, rocking back and forth on the chair. Absolutely freaked out.
Did they know glass broke, or they just heard what their mom said?
They do know that glass broke, but there was also this whole element to it that I did not, pun not intended, element to it that I did not expect, which was Isaac had recently learned about different types of light bulbs in school and learned that fluorescent light bulbs have mercury in them. And so now he's kind of worried about the mercury that just got.
It's funnier in my head if there's just screaming, Lydia gets shut into a room, but nobody knows why.
I know. I'm pretty sure that everybody knew why, but I think that they maybe didn't understand that it wasn't as big of a deal as what it sounded like. So I got to be hero dad though, because I walked in and I picked Lydia up and walked her out of that room and brought her over to the safe area of the basement, and then sat everybody down and talked to them. And
that's so funny. I've often felt the need to talk to my wife about her reactions to certain things, because the other day, I think it was just yesterday, she picks up her phone and goes, "Oh my gosh!" And I go, "What?" And she goes, "Herbie's son just committed to Michigan." I thought somebody died, that my grandpa was in the emergency room, that...
Yeah.
Based on her response alone, she's like, "No, Kirk Herbstreit's son is committed to the University of Michigan."
Do either of you ever feel like if the panic mode is a slider from -10 to 0 to 10, do you ever feel like you have to like go to the opposite end to balance out the household? Do you ever like, if things are running at a +6, even though I'm like a -2, I've got to be like a -9 just to counterbalance a little?
You know, there is a very wise quote out there that I've heard from a couple of guys who are smarter than I am, who had said that fathers in a household, part of your job is to not be you're not don't be a thermometer, be a thermostat. Which is kind
of a wise friend of ours, Jerry Funston, told me the same thing, and that has stuck with me every day since. Yeah. And I struggle with being a thermometer. I do that very naturally. I take on the vibe that's going around me, as opposed to going, "Hey, everybody's in a bit of a mood today coming out of my office. I'm going to come out of my office and be fun dad, take everybody to dinner or a movie, and like balance out what's going on."
Yeah.
So yeah, great advice.
Anyway, so that's what's going on in my life.
Yeah. Well, between Kendall carrying his daughter out of the scary room and Corey planning great, thoughtful, fun nights, I've got a hat for you.
You do. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, very proud of my award.
You did it.
You did. Great job, everybody. If you're listening and not watching, I'm wearing a world's best dad hat. Not because I'm so arrogant as to think it's true, but my daughter's school had a fundraiser where if you send money with them, they can pick out gifts, and the parents that are volunteering will help, quote, wrap them. But our daughter couldn't wait. So literally brought them home tonight and said, please open it. And if she thinks it's true that I'm, quote, world's best dad, then that's good enough for me. So I'm going to wear my fancy new hat. But speaking of not panicking, this was a nice end to an interesting morning. And being a thermostat, not a thermometer, waking up to the main car to get to school that's not running and a clogged toilet are a couple really interesting ways to start your day. And we were just talking about that after our daughter went to bed because she was a little nervous about what would happen if our car was not available to pick her up. So she was at school. So she was doing well, wait, what if that car's still not working and what if the other car doesn't work? Then what's going to happen? Who would be there? What car would you? How would I know which car? And we're just reminded the teachers will help you. There's a little, I don't know if your schools do this for pickup. There's a little QR code with a name. The teachers come out and scan it at our school. It informs the student's classroom who'd come out. So the teachers will help you with all of that. Somebody will be there. But yeah, you have to just keep her cool and not panic and run and get a new battery for your car when you need one, and do what you got to do.
Straight up.
It'd be like that sometimes.
It be like that sometimes.
It do be like that. I'll tell you one time I do panic, and I know Corey relates to this because if you're tuning in, he's my brother. Do you guys do you're driving and there's a potentially scary stopping situation? The arm goes across to the passenger side seat.
Yeah, it's a world's best dad move.
World's best dad move for sure. I know our world's best mom did that for sure growing up. And I had one of those the other day. It was super serious. Like the hand, one hand on the wheel, right hand across to the passenger side. And it is serious. You do have to have a little bit of a level of concern because frankly, I didn't want pizza sauce all over the floor. You know what I mean? Like you got to make sure you protect precious cargo on board. And so sometimes you just got to be a little extra cautious.
That's a fun little wrinkle.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I used to pull that move when there was no danger ahead of me, and it was just sharing on the car, just to cop a feel.
Just got feel. Yeah, I was gonna say I'd do it just to be funny.
Yeah.
Even I don't think I've ever had to do it in like a real scenario, but often like just normal stopping at a stop sign, normal stop. I'll just like as we get closer, I'll just put the hand over there and just because I like to amuse myself.
Sure. Yeah. Just casually throw it on the seat behind as if you just wanted to put your arm up while you were waiting in traffic.
Oh my gosh.
Totally.
Yeah.
There you go.
Somebody said something the other day. This is unrelated, so I'm not going to try to think of a clever segue. And it kind of shook me. I need you guys' 2 cents. They said, I'm not really a chip guy, but you know what? I will sit down with a bag of tortilla chips. And that just struck me because I have never thought of tortilla chips as a just sit down and snack on chip. That is that needs queso or salsa or 7-layer dip to just sit down with a bag of, you know what I think when I want to sit and watch a movie? Bag of plain tortilla chips.
Of plain I was confronted with this reality of people eating dry tortilla chips when I was in high school, and it was a jarring moment when I'm in a friend's basement and a few of us are there and someone's like, hey, do you have any snacks? And he comes downstairs with just a bag of tortilla chips. And I'm thinking to myself, is this something that you do here? Like, are you Mormon? I don't understand. Like, what's going on?
That's like all I have left
Yeah.
is a bag of tortilla chips, and my salsa got used up the other night.
Right.
So this is all I've got left, but we're so hungry.
But even then, I'm grabbing some like shredded cheese and making Midwest microwave nachos or something. Like It just, I did not understand it, and nobody else said anything, and so I didn't say anything. But it's the weirdest thing to me. My wife can do that. Just eat a dry tortilla chip. I don't get it.
Hold up. Please repeat what this person said to you.
They said, and it wasn't to me, I was just listening to a person talk about snacking, and they're like, I don't like chips. I'm not a chip guy. Although I do like a bag of I will sit down with a bag of tortilla chips.
I feel like the natural response is, well, sir, it seems that you are a chip guy if you're willing to sit down with a whole bag of chips. But that story would have made way more sense in my head if it was, I'm not a big chip guy, but if we go to a Mexican restaurant and there's chips and salsa out, I could definitely go through a bowl or two of chips. That is at least I can understand. You have the chips there. You went and you got them. You opened them, and you're implying that you'll eat the whole thing. I think you're a chip guy.
Yeah, the context was when talking about snacks in general, chips for this person are not a category they go to, except for
the wrong answer.
Except for the wrong answer. They will, though. They don't go from Cheetos, Doritos, Fritos, none of that for me. I just like a movie and a bag of plain tortillas.
It sounds like something like is this person like a health nut?
A little bit
of a health nut. I wonder if it sounds like that kind of, I mean, not that tortilla chips are healthy, but it seems like that kind of move that like, oh, I had a cheat day today. I had one Jolly Rancher, like that kind of like weird health bragging. It feels like that kind of move to me. I bet you they're secretly a chip guy, and they're in denial about it.
Did they at least say what kind of chips?
Just kind tortilla chips.
Can you get a follow-up question in there? Like
cannot.
Oh,
because maybe they found the world's best tortilla chips.
This is a celebrity on their podcast, and I was like, that is jarring.
Because I feel like, I'd say I don't know who it is. If they're a health person, this doesn't make sense. I feel like someone started to tell the story and then was in their head, were thinking like a whole bag of Doritos, which would make sense. And then before they said it, their brain said inside their head, probably shouldn't admit I eat a whole bag of Doritos. And then tortilla chips just came out. Because I don't know otherwise why you would find yourself eating a whole bag of plain tortilla chips.
Yeah, I'm starting to think you made this up, Corey. This is not making any sense.
Okay, yeah, probably did.
We're not this desperate for podcast content, okay? We don't have to make
it was up. It was such a crazy thought to me. I was like, who does that? Who sets out? This is like the joke about no one sets out for McDonald's. You end up at McDonald's. This is like no one sets out to have a bag of tortilla chips. You end up with a bag of tortilla chips.
Not true. Neither one of those things is true.
All right, we'll leave it to the listeners to discuss. Let us know in the comments below what you think about just sitting down to a plain ass bag of tortilla chips. Yeah. And while you're doing that, we will hear some words from some of our friends in On Pods Media.
Hey, this is Grab and Brisket Podcast. Join us every Monday where we talk about the latest trends in barbecue, interviews with world top pitmasters, celebrity cooks.
Ooh, like Wee Man from Jackass.
And musicians.
Like Rich O'Toole.
So check us out. We do beer reviews, barbecue fails.
So many fires.
Dude, a lot of people just burn their houses down for no reason.
We also talk about cocaine hippos versus Beth Gators.
Learn how to make some tailgate gravy.
Altercations with Texas Rangers.
People throwing Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah. So check out grabthebrisket.com for podcast info, viral social media posts, and so much more.
You know what's worse about the tortilla chip story is that now in my head, this plain Jane or Jim is eating like the unsalted, dense, chewy corn tortilla chips that like don't have much flavor. And it's even more awful than it even initially sounded.
Yeah. I need to like drink a jar of salsa because my mouth is getting dry just talking about this.
Yeah, it's like when you like we were talking about that red Santa sucker, and it's like pictures you can taste. Just talking about this makes me have a dry tortilla chip Wow.
Th-
Anyway.
this leads to a discussion though about something that I've thought about now many times, especially in the last few years. We frequently ask for recommendations for all kinds of things, right, on social media and coworkers and family or whatever, and especially with foods. I I, I now wonder, how do I even know that these people are good at this? How do I, if I ask, what's the best recommendation for tortilla chips? What if their taste in tortilla chips is bland, bad? I don't even know if these people are qualified to give me advice. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have to know. I have
What
to
they're
know.
looking for.
I have to know you've struggled with weight throughout your life to where you actually have good taste in food. I need to know that you don't think that rice cakes are a good snack. I need to know that like LaCroix isn't your favorite drink because all of that is going to inform whether I think you're
This
even
is good.
qualified to give me advice on what I'm asking for in regards to restaurants, drinks, foods, snacks.
This is good. This is good. In 270 whatever we may have landed. Okay, here's what we do. This is what people have come for. This quality content. Here's the solution. Hey, Rebecca, I'm coming to Phoenix soon. I would like to know a few restaurant recommendations. But before you do, 3 questions. We need to come up with a list of questions that we ask the person to determine whether or not we should take their recommendation serious.
There you go.
What is your daily caloric intake average?
What's the healthiest pizza you've ever had?
Yeah. Is
Like
this is this somebody, a family member, friend, or neighbor whose business you're telling me about? That
We're
could
going to
be-
have to whittle these down. Like at 3 isn't enough.
Yeah, we're gonna need
Specifically thinking about pizza. Like the thing that jumps into my mind is gluten-free pizza. And I'm generally of the opinion that if you're gluten-free, you should just give up on pizza and just let it go. Because the rest of us don't want to accidentally end up with gluten-free pizza at the office Christmas party. That is important to me. Are you one of these people who's like, you don't even miss the gluten? Or, hey, cauliflower crust is actually just as good. If those are your guide, I need to find out. I would need one question that would give me that answer. Are you the kind of person that takes healthy pizza and tries to convince others that it's as good as not healthy pizza?
I think that's a great point. And I feel like that alludes to the people who mix like shredded chicken and Parmesan to make their own pizza crust because they're trying to do keto or gluten free or whatever. And I think that's a good point. There needs to be some way to word the question also. How flippant are you with your praise of things? Is everything the best thing you've had recently? Because I need people to know if I'm firmly recommending something, me personally, as Dylan, not a theoretical person. If I'm saying something is really good, I'm being really careful about how strongly I recommend most things. I try to hedge a lot because I don't want people to think, oh, Dylan always says things are great, or I want to be careful. I want to set realistic expectations and I want to be fair about things because I don't want my recommendations to be viewed lightly. Like, he probably says that about a lot of stuff. So I need to know if other people are the same way because I don't think most people are. Because sometimes hear people try some like, oh my gosh, did you try the new Target peppermint chocolate covered peanut snacks? It's the best thing I've ever had. Like really, the Target in-house brand $4 bag of peppermint peanuts is the best thing I don't need any recommendations from you on that.
Yeah.
I don't need to know that your neighbor Ramon has a Turkish kebab shop that's the best kebabs you've ever had in your life.
Indeed. Maybe it is food genre specific. Like if somebody were to ask me my favorite pizza place, I'm going to keep coming back to pizza because it's just who I am.
Sure.
I might start by telling them a little bit about myself. right? So my favorite pizza places tend to be local places. Most of them are Columbus style. If need explanation, I will give explanation of Columbus style. But I will say, but my favorite is actually a New York style local place called Pizzeria New York. Now, on the other end of that spectrum, my least favorite pizza place in the whole wide world, to the point that I will take the salad option instead, is Domino's. It is the worst. At the same time, I recognize that I'm different and that I like Little Caesars, not just for the price. I like Little Caesars. So both of those things are true. Pizza Hut is second to least on my list. Papa John's is third to lowest on my list. So that is the world of me. If you're like me, here's my recommendation for you.
Yeah. Pizza Hut with an asterisk, unless it's stuffed crust. Do I sound like someone who is compatible with your food opinions?
Yes.
This is important. We need to find a really efficient way to ask this question to cut through the BS, because I don't want to. We can't go. You can't be out and about asking a hotel concierge for food recommendations and be like, "Hey, hit me with your top 3 fast food and casual places," and they're like, "Oh man, Long John Silver's, McDonald's, and Burger King." You're like, "Nope, I'm out. I don't know. We're not going to be compatible."
I mean, you can do this with anything. I've heard of people who, as a part of their like first date practice when talking entertainment and movies, they'll be like, "Have you heard of Citizen Kane?" And the person's like, "What?" And they're like, "Date over." Like, you can't call yourself a cinephile if you don't know. I'm not saying that that's one of them, but like certain movies, Space Odyssey or
Right.
whatever, right? So you could do the same thing. Music.
So do you need to go hobby by hobby and rank them from most subjective to least subjective?
I think what you're really trying to do is get a sense of their palate and how much they've opened themselves up to other things. If they've stayed in Boise, Idaho their entire life, I don't really care too much about their sushi recommendation.
We're gonna have to come up with a quick survey.
This has gotten very complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you probably could ask a couple things. Favorite hobbies, best places you've ever visited, favorite 3 fast food or fast casual chains, and top movies. I feel like you're going to get if you get a Fraser Niles Crane-esque line of answers to that, like Paris, Sydney, Australia, and Tokyo, and then they're going on like Citizen Gate, you're like, okay, you're into some finer things. I should probably, if it's like, oh, I've never left Boise, and it's like McDonald's, Taco Bell, and whatever. But then again, I like Taco Bell, so maybe no one should listen to anything I have to say.
Oh, this is awesome.
I saw a meme the other day that lady who was like, "I've just got one thing to say, and one thing only. That is RFK Jr. If you so much as touch Taco Bell."
That's awesome.
I appreciated it for what it was.
Yeah. That's funny. So there we go. We're going to need lots of help on how you try to decipher. And maybe there's like red flags. Maybe there's obvious red flag statements we're unaware of for people with bad food tastes. Because frankly, I feel like food and drinks are some of the things we discuss the most. If anyone has any obvious red flags for something somebody says that they like, that it's like, ooh, maybe don't.
But I see this so often on like Facebook, for example. Somebody will be like, "Movie recommendations, everyone, and go." And you're like, whoa.
I'm going to need to ask you a few questions before I can answer that.
Or like they'll just say vacation recommendations, or like, "Guys, we're doing Disney soon. What do you recommend?" What if they're like really bad Disney people? What if they're really awesome at Disney? How do you know how they like to vacation? What do you know? That's so general. If you say, "I'm going to the Outer Banks and like really good original source coffee shops go, that's different.
Yeah. This
Anyway.
is tricky. There you go. Something I think about frequently.
Okay.
Well,
We're in the full swing of Christmas. In middle of December. Super excited. Case, our son, turns 10 tomorrow. It's his double-digit birthday and his golden birthday. So we're very excited. We are, in fact, going to do the double-digit Disney trip. Tickets have been purchased for the week before Christmas. So that's going to be awesome. But for tomorrow, we're going to be taking him out of school for the day. We're going to start with an early screening of Red One in theaters, the new rock Christmas movie. Super excited about that. We're going to take him to lunch and then do some shopping in the afternoon and then have a dinner at his choice, Red Lobster. So super excited. Going to be a big full day. Just really excited about the Christmas season. Sherry and I went through our who do we still need to buy for lists tonight, and really excited about some gifts that we're getting some people. Are you guys enjoying this like ramp up to Christmas?
Yeah, and in fact, I was just thinking other than on Thanksgiving Day, because there was some Christmas movies on TV, I haven't put any other Christmas movies on yet. So I'm feeling a little behind in that
You are,
really,
sir.
technically, I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles 1.5 times on cable, but that's actually a Thanksgiving movie, not a Christmas movie. Despite what the packaging would lead you to believe to get you to purchase for Christmas, it's a Thanksgiving movie. So I am behind on Christmas. I've been watching. Last week I had lots of things that I had been watching. This week just one, but I am excited. The gift giving thing is always fun. Some people have very specific things, which is fine. Some people don't, and so you have a little more flexibility on what you're looking for. But yeah, it's good. And then sometimes I find little stupid things that I want. So there you go.
How do you guys feel when doing an exchange when it's like, let's say it's $25 and the person that you've drawn just writes Amazon gift card? How do you feel about that?
I think so. You're alluding to either a literal list or there's also apps that do that and things. I think the apps need a toggle, something that says like I have a specific list or I'm open to gifts. And there needs to be a toggle on those lists so you have a sense, because you don't get a sense of that. Because I could see somebody in their head thinking, I don't care, I'm fine with whatever, but I don't really have any ideas. I'll just put Amazon gift card. And then there are probably some people put, I really want an Amazon gift card because I've got 47 things on my save for later list and I want to buy some of those. So,
and maybe it's selfish that is the gift giver. You're like, well, that's not very fun for me.
right.
I want to get them, but they're like, no, that's what I really want. I guess the third category would be a person I heard from tonight go, I'm not putting anything, like some of those apps that let you put in some suggestions of what the person who draws your name could get you. This person was like, I'm not putting anything in there because I want them to just get me what they think I would like. That is the better gift for me.
Huh. I think it takes again, you have to know the person a little bit. Because I for a lot of people, that's a sweet situation, and they're probably the kind of person who is going to be thankful and grateful and love whatever it is you got them. And then there's some people who are using that as a test. Which one is it? It's either really fun or really stressful.
Yeah. I don't remember what show or movie I'm about to reference, but there was something where, it was in The Office, where they were doing the trivia night and they needed 3 teams, like the A team, the B team, and the C team. And I think it was Andy Bernard looks around and he's like, I think we can all kind of sort ourselves into which team we should be in. That feels like that kind of thing. If you're the kind of person that it's become a game to test somebody, you should just, as an adult, know yourself well enough to say, I'm just not going to play the game this year. I'll just throw some stuff on there. They probably love me. Just know yourself well enough.
That's awesome.
If you're the kind of person that you really want off your list, you should just really make a list. And if you're the kind of person that really just doesn't care and appreciates the spirit and the thought of it, great. Then go ahead and put whatever. But I would go back to saying, I think that's where a little, here's how I'm feeling toggle at the top would be helpful. Like, yeah, super cool, whatever. Or, I know what I want.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear that I'm difficult to buy for from my family, for my wife in particular, because I'm so particular and I Uber shop and research every stupid little thing I buy. Doesn't matter if it's socks. But that doesn't mean I'm going to hate what I receive.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing and I've said the same thing. If you put the thing in front of me, I'm going to think through it out loud about why I might or might not want it. Because it feels like if you're asking me about it out loud, you're asking me to determine and weigh in for you whether it's a thing I would want. But if I was not aware and it was just wrapped and I just opened it, it doesn't mean I wouldn't like it. Just because I wouldn't pick it myself doesn't mean that I wouldn't like it. It just sometimes once you have the thing, you're just like, cool, I have the thing now. I'll use it because I have it.
That's the other part of that is that, and I know that there's other people like me, and it sounds like you're one of those where it's like I will Uber research a thing and then buy it. And you know what? If I'm super honest with myself right now, sometimes I made the wrong choice, but I always convince myself to like my choice anyway.
Because it was at the very least thought through by me. I was the one filtering in and out the decision criteria.
Yeah, I'm like building up I'm building up a resistance to buyer's remorse as I'm doing the research. I feel like that's what I'm doing. So like even if I don't like it, I'm going to make it work, not as punishment, but because like, well, I already bought it now. Like then it's like my mode entirely flips to like, well, I'm going to convince myself to like it. And like that actually is my attitude. I tend to like the thing. Even if it was, in all honesty, probably not the best choice. But
so now Kendall's sitting in the chair in the corner of the room, rocking back and forth with an electric screwdriver, saying, I made the best decision with the information I had.
It sucks, but it's probably still the best one out there, even though I know it's probably not.
Even though I hate how it feels and how it works and how it looks, it's probably the best one.
I was so sure.
It's one of those, we're looking at couches right now to put in our family room, and like I have opinions on what the couch should be, but truth be told, doesn't matter what the couch is going to be. I'm going to end up liking it because I just kind of have to at that point. What am I going to do? Exchange it? No. So I'm going to like it instead of like always looking at the couch and being like, I hate that we bought this couch. I'm just not going to have that attitude with it.
Yeah.
It's so hard to turn that off sometimes when you open something like, oh, interesting choice. Not what I would have chosen. Curious about how many side-by-side comparisons you did.
If any.
Not even a color I like, but thank you so much.
Yeah. That's funny. I think my version of that is something to the effect of, there's no point in second guessing myself now. Like, not gonna help me. Just enjoy it. It's so rare for me to even return anything. I could be well within a return policy. It could be a store that makes it as easy as possible. Highly unlikely I'm gonna return something. I own it now. It is what it is. I made my bed. I'm gonna lie in it.
We bought a Ryobi jigsaw the other day. My wife did. She sent me a picture of it. She was at one of these stores that's like basically they're buying crates from Home Depot and Amazon and reselling. And so she sent me this picture of this jigsaw that would replace our recorded one, and I was like, sweet, that's like half the price of what it would cost to buy it new. And I'm opening the box today and finding out that there's a very necessary chunk of it that obviously broke off and it's not even floating around in the box. It's just gone. The thing is absolutely useless. It cannot be used. And I'm like, what do we do now? I guess we just throw it away. That'll be the end of that. That's my general attitude. I'm like, yeah, we're out $70 and we're just going to be out $70.
Woof.
Yeah.
I'm just over here really glad you didn't say 18 gauge Brad nailer because I just purchased one of those Ryobi from Home Depot.
She did send me a picture of an electric lawnmower from Ryobi, and I told her no on that one. And I'm super glad I did now because we'd be stuck with the cost of a lawnmower.
Yeah. I'm going to need those robot lawnmower Roombas to catch up in size and cost real fast because
those are
that
cool.
feels like that could be really clutch for the next decade or two.
Did I tell you guys I saw one of those in the wild the other day and it totally caught me off guard? I'm riding my motorcycle down Sunbury Road, which goes by Hoover Reservoir. And it was between the sidewalk and the road, like not in a lawn, like in that little patch of grass between the, and I'd never seen one before. And I wasn't sure it was going to stop. And of course it knows what it's doing. But just like, when you're riding next to a robot, that's a little
yeah.
unsettling.
Wouldn't that be crazy if that was the moment that the robots woke up and it started chasing you?
Wild. I don't know why that felt like the beginning of a Mitch Hedberg joke. Like I saw it in the wild until it wasn't because it cut the grass. Like I don't know why that felt like a tee up for that.
Solid
But they're
reference.
really interesting. They just feel expensive for us blue collar folks. But I think I'm going to need one. I think that's going to be a pretty critical purchase.
I'm just going to come over and watch it.
Do they mow in straight lines? I feel like I've seen them in videos not.
Yeah.
Did they do it right?
Yeah. So Kendall, the Canadian guy that Kevin Builds on YouTube, one of his, well, you know how those guys that get big work, companies just send them stuff and ask him to feature their product. And he said, I'm going to be really honest. He said, I told him I'm going to be really honest. If it does, it doesn't work. And he was doing the initial calibration, like basically teaching the robot what the parameters of his yard were. And I don't remember the brand, but he was shocked at how well it like naturally figured out the boundaries and then just made like parallel runs back and forth until the whole thing was done. And he was like legitimately surprised.
That feels like a great application for tiny robots. So I really hope that gains steam.
Our stepdad was just telling us that in some of his farm equipment, he's got the GPS guidance on his tractors. And then across a field, across an entire length of field, they are within a half inch off left to right of that row. That's crazy to me.
That's pretty impressive.
Anyway, fun facts. Feels like we're kind of winding down, boys. We want to talk about what we're streaming. We watched Moana 2 today in theaters. Or was it last night? Doesn't matter. Moana 2. Our family's been wanting to see it. It was very, very fun. We love Hawaii. We love that kind of vibe. And not as good as the first, but very fun. They brought back some tropes from the first one that you enjoy. And family friendly, obviously. And go check it out. Moana 2. That's what I'm streaming. And I'm catching up on all my podcasts because it's kind of a quiet season for old Corey these days. So I'm catching up on Congratulations with Crystalia, Tiger Belly, Bad Friends, catching up on Formula One. I was a few races behind, so I got to catch up on that. I'm up to the Las Vegas race where Max, even with 3 races left in the season, secured the championship for this year. So that was pretty cool. And getting caught up. Feels good. How about you guys?
I was going to ask on Moana 2, are Hey and Pua in it?
Uh-huh.
I mean, you got to be excited about that.
And some new friends that everybody's going to enjoy.
Oh, Disney's so good at putting in little cutesy characters they can make crap loads of money on merchandise on.
There was one moment, and if people have seen it, they'll know what I'm talking about. I was kind of like, where are they going? It just kind of, not literally, but like they kind of went off on like a weird side tangent and introduced another character that didn't really fit with almost anything else. And there was a musical number, and I'm like, what the heck? But then after the credits, and maybe this is why they did it, after the credits, so stick around, they do something with that character that you're like, oh, as Kendall would say, implications. So,
yeah. Okay.
For a sec, it felt like it lost its way. No pun intended if you've seen it.
Look at that. Only one thing to update on watching this week, the HBO Max series Somebody Somewhere. Have you guys watched this one?
Tell me more.
It just finished its third and final season. I think she's a comedian first, but also a comedic actor. Bridget Everett plays the main character. And I'll read let's see if the IMDb, it's not too long. She plays a character named Sam. Sam is a true Kansan from Kansas. A Kansan? Is that how they say it? She's from Kansas. On the surface, but beneath it all, struggles to fit the hometown mold. Grappling with loss and acceptance, she discovers herself in a community of outsiders who don't fit in, but don't give up. And it's really sweet. And not necessarily for the kids, so don't turn that one on while the kids are around. It's on HBO Max. But in the spirit of being kind of literally a Midwest show, since it's in Kansas, it's really good. It's a sweet show. There's only 3 seasons. It's pretty short. Let me hit allow. Corey's trying to share something if you're on the YouTubes. And it's good. And she does a good job at, like, there's elements of a little bit of what Corey and I can probably relate to, like being in music in high school and kind of known for it, and then coming back home and, you know, and that still is a skill of hers, and then makes some friends when she's back in town. And we never moved back, but the music element, that's an important part of her life, along with some loss and some family and friend stories. So it's sweet. It's 3 seasons. I feel like somebody might pick it up now that it's over on HBO, because it is pretty solid. So if you're looking for something new to watch that's pretty easy, a little bit drama, mostly comedy, check out Somebody Somewhere.
Cool. I'm boring again. I haven't streamed anything this past week.
And freaking WWE making it hard to watch.
Freaking WWE making it hard to watch everything, and making it expensive to watch everything. And it's only going to get worse come the turn of the year. So and I knew that was coming. So it just kind of dampened my whole enthusiasm toward keeping up with it at all. But, you know, watching football, it's fun. We're heading into the college football playoffs soon, the inaugural year of the 12-team playoff, which will be fun. And, you know, people are already finding things to complain about with that. So
Naturally.
As they already are, they're still complaining about teams who are on the bubble, even though there's 12 teams now.
Yeah, that was always going to be the problem. And that's why I felt like 8 felt like a stronger solution. But when it's about money and getting more teams in from big conferences for money, you get 12. And I think one thing we can all be happy about is that Alabama didn't make it. And so, if nothing else, the college football world can unite around that. And somebody who was going back through the history, several of these matchups have never been played before, or haven't been played in a super long time. And even though I feel like the arrangement of who goes where, one half of it feels like more of a gauntlet than the other half of it.
Yes.
From the outside looking in. But the matchups themselves, if you take away which part looks harder or easier, the matchups themselves look really fun. And I love the first round home field game for some of that, because now we're going to see a team like Tennessee come up to Ohio Stadium and play in late December. And that's never happened before, and that's pretty cool. So
just fun.
Lots to look forward to watching.
And one of the weird downsides to that is Oregon is going to have a bye week. And so their first game out of the gate is going to be Ohio State or Tennessee. Ohio State. So that's going to be their first game out of the gate. And a lot of people are saying, like, what's the point in being? People were talking about this in Columbus with Ohio State, that like maybe you don't want to be that 1 seed, because that 1 seed is going to have to play somebody, like in Oregon's case, they're going to have to play Ohio State their first game in the playoff. That really the sweet spot is right there in that 5 or 6 range, and you have a little bit of an easier path to go deeper. But
And I think that'll change. I think this year more mid-tier programs maybe got in than expected. Like I think most years it's going to be pretty heavy to like traditional powerhouse teams.
yeah,
I'm not mad about that, but it does make half of the bracket feel easier if you're in it versus if you're in the part that has Clemson, Texas, Ohio State, Tennessee, Oregon, Georgia, etc. So
it just kind of felt like this year, like the number of like top 2 to 4 upsets that happened this year. You have a team who's were ranked first or second or third in the country, and they unexpectedly lose twice. And that kind of thing has been happening a lot this year. But you still have situations like, thankfully it's not going to be an undefeated Army team. I don't think they lost one.
They did lose one. Yep.
But for a moment there, it looked like, so Army, we understand what their schedule is, but if they went undefeated, they wouldn't be in the playoff. And so some of those kinds of things that they were hoping would, myself included, were hoping would be fixed by having a larger playoff. There's still going to be some problems out there. I'm glad that Boise State is finally getting their crack at it. I've been wanting that forever. So, I mean, you have the South Florida had that run there, and it's like, I mean, I don't think they're one of the best 4 teams in the country to be in the 4-team playoff, but man, they did everything they could.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's nice to see the Boise State's in there.
Yeah, I feel that way about SMU and Boise State. Like they did the best with the schedule that they were given, and give them a shot at it. You know, like that's why if you're going to do 12, that's why you do 12, to let a couple teams that would normally be on the outside make their way in and give them a shot. And if they get blown out, they get blown out. But it is what it is.
It's one of the things that makes March Madness so much fun, is because there is always a school or two that does things that you don't expect them to do.
Yeah.
So
you guys are way smarter at this stuff than I am, but I caught the end of the Clemson SMU game, and the discussion that the commentators were having was one of those initial problems that Kendall just described, is that perhaps this is devaluing conference championships. So in that case, it would hurt a team to play in their conference championship and lose more than it would hurt a team to not even go to their conference championship, like Ohio State, and have a better seed. So like it hurt SMU more to go in and lose than Ohio State to not even play in their conference championship and have a better. So like, does this new system devalue conference championships is the core question. And so I didn't understand what they were saying. So Sherry explained it to me, and I was like, oh, okay, I kind of get the point that it would, which of those is worse? And then do you look at overall strength of schedule? And then how do you make some of those decisions? And at the end of the day, it all comes down to which games are going to be the most entertaining anyway, and do make the biggest draw. And so anyway, I thought that was an interesting data point.
Yeah, I feel like what people need to keep in mind is that there's probably way more thought that goes into it than they'll ever get credit for. What's also true is they're going to get some things wrong sometimes, or wrong from the perception of the broader fan base. And the rhyme and reason from one game or 1 year might not hold up for another game and another year. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some fluidity. And, well, you made this argument for this team last year. Why didn't you make the same argument for this team this year? Well, seasons. Does everybody remember a few years ago where Louisville was the number 1 or 2 team in the country? Because that's just how things shook out that year. So, like, at the end of the day, Try not to lose more than 2 games if you're in a major conference. And if you're anybody else that's not in a major top 3, 4, 5 conferences, you probably need to win them all or only lose one. And my reasoning behind 8 was always, at the time with the Pac-12, your Power 5 champions and 3 at large. Because once you start to hit 9, 10, 11 anyways, that's where you get to the 2 and 3 loss a lot of years. And even more so now with bigger conferences and playing harder teams. So people need to not, unless you want to join the college football playoff committee and help weigh in on it, people need to not get overly worked up about all the rhyme and reason. Just hope your team doesn't lose. and if they win enough games, they're going to be in it. We all knew as Ohio State fans, yes, we wanted to beat Michigan because we wanted to beat Michigan, but that game was irrelevant for whether we would go to the playoff or not. It would change what seed we would be in the playoff, but it was irrelevant to making the playoff. So win enough games, you're in. If you're in a major conference, if you're not, try not to lose any. That's the end of the day. Everything else is going to be fluid.
Makes sense. All right, boys. Well, it was fun hanging out with you for an hour. Midlers, I hope you enjoyed. One of my co-hosts is going to take the Artius Man plug because I do it every time.
That's a great segue. If you have never been to Artius Man, either way you should go. But if you haven't, you especially should go. ARTIUSMAN.com. Use promo code The Middle. You'll save, no joke, 25% off your first order.
How much did you just say?
25% off your first order because we're crazy boys and have a great promo for you here from The Middle. It's good for them. It's good for you. It's good for us. And frankly, Christmas is coming up and we know some of you don't have some gifts yet. So you need to head over there, buy some stuff. You can also go to our LinkTree. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. While you're at it, you can go in and buy some merch. We got some sweet shirts. You should check those out. Lots of great stuff, but make sure to support Artius Man because they've been an awesome partner of us on the show. With that, anything else? If not, we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks for listening. And a little shout out for you if you're on YouTube. Mandelbaum, Mandelbaum, Mandelbaum.
See ya.